I want to bring in Matt real quick. And I want to have this. Matt, good morning. Carl Reed, 247 Sports, gave you a compliment. He thinks you're a great O-line coach. He thinks you're a great O-line coach. I said, Matt's just an asshole yells. He's not no damn coach. But we had a great conversation, Matt, and I don't want to take Carl's time. He's been on 30 minutes. He brought up a fact that he said he don't know about unionizing. He said that he can see why you like it. He said that he thinks if he was the kid, this is speaking from the kid's perspective, he thinks the kid should leave it as it is and want it as it is. I know you've been talking about unionizing with me for years on this show. Carl, explain that real quick to him as to why, and then I want to hear Matt's take, and then before you leave out of here, I appreciate you coming on.
I feel like with unionizing, it's going to limit the money that the top guys can make. It's going to put a cap on it for those guys. If I was one of those guys, I wouldn't want it. But it is going to be beneficial to guys that are backups, to guys that are at the lower end of the roster, making sure that they get paid an amount of money they probably wouldn't under the current landscape. So being an offensive line guy, I would understand why you would think that, that makes sense for those guys, because they may not get the same money as a quarterback, as a receiver, as some of those guys in the marketing world. But if I was one of the top players in the country, I wouldn't want that at all. Not even if I was one of the top offensive linemen that was going to get drafted in the first or second round, because they're getting paid quite as much as well in collective and guaranteed marketing deals.
Okay, I mean, look, the top players are always going to get the biggest piece of the pie. In the NFL, it's no different. There's a bunch of league minimum cats, just like you were just talking about, that play for 3 or 4 years and then fade away, and guys who make generational wealth and have fuck you money. So I guess I want the college kids to get a piece of the revenue from the television deals. That's the main part for me. So I don't know how you don't unionize and make that happen. So if everybody can show me a model where they can get revenue sharing with the TV deals and with everything else that happens like the NFL players do, because that's where the real money is, and everybody knows it. So I think it's a travesty that all these kids run out there and give away their talent, and they just hope that I deal with NIL collectives and people, and they're cheap as fuck, and they don't want to give anybody any money, and they are all full of shit, and all of them are blowing smoke up these kids' asses because they do not have anybody working for them. And then I'm a football consigliere. I'm not an agent or anything, because there's no agents in college football, but that's another problem. There's nobody sitting there telling them that this is bullshit. So of course kids are going to jump at things that aren't, that don't have any longevity. I think that the NIL it works for Travis Hunter and Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning and shit. That's great. That it's going to work for them. They're superstars. Unless it's working for everyone, because you need everyone to do this. You can't just parade Travis Hunter and Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning and Shedeur Sanders and all these big timers out and play football without everybody else, the most important parts of the team, which are your offensive and defensive linemen. And ask Shedeur and Coach Prime and Travis Hunter last year, if they had any offensive and defensive linemen that could fucking play, they would have been an 8-4 football team instead of a 4-8 football team, period. So yeah, as an offensive and defensive line guy, I probably do think that everybody needs to be unionized, because I want people to get paid what they're worth, and acting as if the superstars are the only ones and then that's the problem. When superstars look at this model and go, well, I can just get paid out the ass, but fuck all these other guys. Eventually all the other guys, just like the country we live in, is going to say, nah, I don't like this model. This sucks. And
hey, let me ask you this, Carl. Let me ask you guys this.
Without the grunts, there is no shine. Everyone needs to remember that shit. Without all the grunts, there are no fucking superstars.
And that's Carl's point. That's why he figured you would like it. I got to ask you this, though, both of you, like to Matt's point. There's a reason, in my opinion, that the collectives are becoming a little more hesitant to throw that bag out there when we have a portal that's open, it seems like 27 times, 24/7, 365. So when these guys are bouncing after they get a bag or an offer, it seems like I would be hesitant as a money guy as well, Carl, to throw out money. So we got a huge issue.
With a lot of these collectives, though, one of the reasons they're hesitant is because a lot of them don't have the money that people think that they have. And so you're asking guys to keep writing checks. Even when you're talking about millionaires and billionaires, they're only going to write checks so many times. There was a defensive lineman in the SEC last year. I'm not going to name him or the school, but he went to the pros early. And when him and I talked, I said, why are you going to the pros, bro? You got a day 3 grade. You need to go back to school. Well, he was promised $400,000 and didn't get one check. This is at a big time SEC program. A lot of these guys are not getting paid. A lot of them don't have their agreements wrote on contracts. There are SEC schools right now that are not able to make payroll next month for their collective. They're out raising money right now so they can pay the bills of the money that they've already promised out. So the collective model is not a sustainable model either, because those guys are not working with the amount of money that people think they are. But the players are kind of out of whack because they believe everything they read on the internet and they think everybody's making $1 million and they're not. And there are several players that are just too embarrassed to say, I don't really have no money, bro. I haven't gotten paid anything that I was supposed to get paid. And I even forfeited my Pell Grant because I'm supposed to be getting paid this amount of money. And I'm really
Carl,
stuck out there right now.
It's not just fucking spat. Just spitting things.
We've been saying this. I told Matt, I said, if the kids really knew and a cat set them down and that actually cared for the kid and not just goddamn chasing the bag as a coach and leaving from job to job, which I think they should be able to do as a grown man because they've earned that right. But at the same time, if you're going to promise a kid and leave them, I think you're a coward and you're a liar to a bunch of kids who you use as a piece of meat in this meat market. But to your point, I'm like, dog, we're talking about this. The average NIL deal is $350. See, nobody wants to talk about it, and no one wants to bring it up because you see Caleb Williams, Shedeur Sanders making $2, $3, $4 million. But when it's $350 in that locker room, to Matt's point, and I'm looking at the left guard as the backup, and I'm looking across, and I'm hearing Nick Saban rip my ass, and then I'm looking at him like, hold on, I just protected your Heisman quarterback on a natty, and I make $400. Like, I'm leaving.
I'm going to speak on this on personal experience right now, being a business owner that works with kids in NIL, okay? My own guys that I've been working with since they were 14, 15, 16 years old that go to college and play their asses off, and a lot of them in there in the NFL, okay? I can't get my own college guys to appreciate the worth of $1 with my own body bag, the 6-0 equipment company. So my deal is I'll send you a bag. It's worth $1,000. I'll give it to you. I'll give you a promo code. And then every time you sell a bag, whether you're Trey Zune at Texas A&M or you're Cole Taylor at West Virginia or you're Jake Wiley at Houston or whoever, or you're Josh Bates at Oklahoma, like whether you're one of these big time guys that's starting for one of these schools. Cole Taylor was second team all Big 12 last year. Going to be a draft pick. So Trey Zune started 40 straight games at A&M from Fort Collins, fucking big tackle who's an athlete, is going to be a draft pick. I can't get them or the NIL collectives because it's a bunch of smug assholes who just want to deal with multi-million-dollar deals to understand the benefit of starting somewhere. Like, I want to see if you can handle this part of the business in order for me to give you more money and more responsibility as a business. And then once you have an NIL deal, it feels the next NIL deal. And all these kids are so goddamn smug and their parents are so smug. And the coaches and the NIL people, not the coaches because they're not really involved. The NIL people are so smug. I sent a bag to Trey Zune to Texas A&M. They won't even allow him to put it on social media, and they won't allow him to do the media deal or the NIL deal because it didn't go through them. Well, I thought this was name, image, and likeness. He's one of my players before he was at Texas A&M. In fact, I sent him there. So my thing is, like, if the kids don't understand the starting point, if they
value of $1,
if they can't put a value of $1 on the table, exactly, how can you expect, if you can't make $100 and humble yourself that way and show you can sell something with your name, image, and likeness? How in the hell are you ever going to make $1 million?
But Matt, the reason
they're all chasing that one.
This is my point. No one understands how to build. I had to build into a player and getting my NFL pension. I had to change positions. I had to get cut. I had to eat shit. so on and so forth. I didn't have NIL, but I'll tell you one thing: if I did in college, I damn sure wouldn't be telling somebody as a small business owner in the community, no, it's not good enough.
Go ahead, Carl.
4 years ago, you were getting a stipend check, you smug fucking brat. Like, these kids have got to understand they're the problem too. It's not just the NIL guys. There's a problem with the generation too. It's a problem thinking, and Coach has said this a million times. I don't know how many coaches he's had on here, and I used to think one way, and now I think a totally different way. It is a systemic problem with the kids thinking that they've earned this shit because they put on pads. You do not fucking earn this just because you have pads on.
Go ahead, Carl.
So, Matt, the thing with that, though, the players don't want to sell the product. They want you to just give them the money.
Well, that's my point. Why would I do that as a business owner?
But that also goes with when you put them in a collective bargaining situation. So, because you want everybody to get paid equally, that's really the same thing. That they're getting something for nothing. Because a guy put on the pads and he's a second-string offensive lineman or a third-string offensive lineman that never plays, I don't think he deserves part of the team.
Time out. So you're saying that through the NFL collective bargaining agreement, because I was a backup my whole career, I don't deserve my pension?
No, that's not what I'm saying. You're moving the fence. That's apples and oranges. At that point, you've made it into the National Football League, which is the highest level of football. In college, you're not in the National Football League yet. So you don't deserve a piece of the revenue if you're a third-string offensive lineman in college. So the guy that is the third-string guard at Temple, he deserves TV revenue sharing.
Well, yeah, because a year from now he could be the starting All-American guard that goes to the league. That's the way it works.
When he does that, then he should get paid. When he does that,
but so much of football is on potential. So much of football is on potential. These kids that are in high school right now that are Brett Cloutier and Reese Russell, okay? Matt Russell's son, Butkus Award winner, Matt Russell, okay? And Reese Russell, his son's a sophomore. And then Brett Cloutier was at Valor here, has like 30 offers, just got fucking Alabama and LSU last week. He's going to be a junior. They are both going to be thrown a ton of money their way to see where they're going to school. And it's not like, oh, well, we've got a nice chemistry department. They don't give a shit about that, and they shouldn't. But they're being offered on potential. Why are they any different?
Well, what happens when they go and they don't bust a grape in college? Then what? Then how do you reconcile?
You got to pay them to get them there, though.
Or to Carl's point, I think, what if they transfer though from the third string in between seasons where they've already got revenue sharing and they don't even play for my school?
Well, what if they don't? What if they go there and they live up to potential and ball the fuck out?
Then they deserve everything that's coming to them for that.
Yeah, I think
but they're getting it before, guys. But hold on, they're getting it before. So if you're a 4 or 5 star recruit, you can get it before. But if you're a 3-star recruit, you have to earn it when you get there. That's fucking bullshit. That's just some.
No. I think Carl's saying NIL.
No,
but the 247 rankings and like all the nerds in those rooms, I don't know how many times they've been wrong, but it's a fucking lot.
But there's two different things going on. That's what I think Carl and I are saying. Not to disagree with you on that part, but my point is, NIL now is becoming separate than what this revenue sharing is going to be. Revenue sharing is going to be the NFL salary, so to speak. NIL is going to be extra.
I'm not advocating for the backup guy to make as much as the starter.
No, I know.
That's not what I'm saying at all. Yeah. I am saying, though, there's a way, and a very productive way, that will keep people on rosters and under contract that you can develop and actually build something. It just like they do in the NFL. Don't act like the NFL isn't a foundation league. The teams that fucking draft well are the teams that win the 90% of the time. So if you recruit well and you can actually have a foundation to pay some of these guys and keep them around, isn't it right to pay for potential if you believe in your development? Because that's really what I think the problem is. So many of these coaches are hired, just like you guys just said, just to manage and make sure guys aren't doing stupid shit. Well, are you being hired to develop the talent that you bring in, or are you being hired to manage the talent that you bring in? Because a manager is a friend, a developer is a coach, and those are two very different things. So if you look at some of the schools around the country that do a good job developing, what's the traits that they have that some of these other schools don't have, where they're going places where they get a bunch of 4 and 5 star kids who transfer and don't feel like they're developed because they're being managed rather than coached.
So on the developmental, but Matt, on the developmental end, though, what happens to the guard that has 4 O-line coaches in 4 years? So that's the other side of it. So
you should have picked a better school.
Okay, well, I mean, that's easy to say. You know what I mean? But
I had the same defensive line coach and the same head coach for all 5 years in college. I know it's a different era, but still.
But that's you come on now. You played a long time ago, though.
Yeah, but I just said it was a long time ago. Pretty rare, but to act like it doesn't happen is also not true. There's guys that go places and stay with the same coach the whole time, and there's guys that go places and have 10 different coaches.
You are if you're fortunate enough to play at if you're fortunate enough to be good enough out of high school to play at Oklahoma or Georgia or Alabama, one of those places, there is going to be some consistency in coaches. But that goes back to what you originally said when there's only a handful of guys that are able to go to those type of situations.
Yeah, I agree. I
think there's more kids that could go if coaches back full circle. And this is a great conversation, bro. But a full circle, like I can't tell you how many coaches stand there in my gym and watch, and the same kid the same exact player who's better a lot of the cases is a 3-star and the other kid's a 4-star, and they just look at their stream and they're like, oh, well, he's a 4-star and he's a 3-star. I can't recruit him because he's a 3-star. And I'm like, that's some coward bullshit. That is some straight coward bullshit. That's
a different conversation. We can have that conversation.
You lose. This is the way you lose, bro, by ignoring film and looking at stars. But the star, you know this, stars get guys paid, though.
They do.
Like they pay players off of stars, and there's guys, you know this too. There are parents and coaches out there in high school that pay these places 247 and Rivals and these people behind closed doors and fucking tickle balls to get their guys ranked.
I've never had my balls tickled.
Well, man,
hey,
we got the wrong people.
Carl. Hey, man, I can't thank you enough for having this conversation. We got to do it again, Carl. We got to do it again because I know you like the real stuff. Hey, Carl, there's a whole nother conversation that this goes into as well. It talks about why I think JUCO is imploding and why high school football, at the end of the day, is our blood life. That's no longer our blood life. It's going to run out. The blood life is now the portal, and it's eventually going to run itself dry. And we are going to sit here and waste high school and junior college talent. And junior college may implode because they can't fund it. They don't have the resources. And if cats aren't leaving 4 years to go back to JUCO, which was the original portal, and the reason why we made that way, I don't see how it's sustainable. I think we're losing.
What about Dabo, Carl? What do you think about Dabo's comment about a lot of these guys in the portal can't play Clemson? I think if it would have came from somebody other than Dabo, it would have been received better. But I think he's right.
He's right. But like I was telling JB before you got on, I do think there's 30 to 50 kids a year that he should be getting involved with that would be a great culture fit and would be able to play well at other schools. And I see him getting into that because he's one competitive dude. And I don't think he's going to be comfortable winning 8 or 9 games a year and not being in the race. I expect next season for you to, and not, he hasn't said this to me. I don't have any inside information, but just knowing how competitively fierce he is, I don't see him not wanting to compete for a national championship. So there are some great character guys that he knows that they missed out on that might have went other places that played well. If he gets the opportunity to get them, I think that he will.
Hey, Carl, you mentioned
Carl mentioned that he didn't have his nuts tickled lately, and that's unacceptable. So we've got to make sure this is not continuous.
Hey, Carl, what's the school you mentioned in Missouri? The one right outside of St. Louis.
What you say? What now?
What's the school you mentioned in Missouri?
Lindenwood.
Hey, you gotta give me that job. That motherfucker's a powerhouse waiting to happen. I'll tell you right now. You know that.
Lindenwood. They just took one of my quarterbacks last year, Tyler Cooper from Ridge, same place.
They got one of the best mega camps in the country too. JB, before I get out of here, I want to ask you something. Can JUCO football be saved?
No.
I'm sitting right here, Carl. It would happen if I was in it. I don't believe it can now without me in it. I'm not even being cocky. I'm just telling you that I don't believe the kids that are being coached by certain people in the country would be leaving if I was in JUCO, because I think the attraction would say, oh shit, JUCO means something again. So like, and that's not being boastful. I'm just saying the fact of the matter is JUCO needs some sort of spark to say, hey, this isn't as bad as we thought. Look at Jermaine Johnson, Tank Dell. Look at the 28 other cats I got in the league. How about Aaron Rodgers, Cam Newton, Chad Johnson, Steve Smith? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, that needs to be brought back up.
I'm gonna put you on the spot in front of all your fans here, big man. I'm gonna put JB on the spot.
Yeah, what's up?
Can I get you and Jeff Sims in the room to squash the beef and go on a campaign for junior college football?
You're gonna be able not to like beat the shit out of each other.
Can I get y'all in the room?
It wouldn't be a big fight.
Number one, it'll be great television. Number two, right? Can we get in the room? It's been a lot of time has passed. You guys have also shown to be very successful businessmen away from the football field. You're doing great and he's doing great. But I know you both love junior college football. You both are really good friends of mine, and you've had some issues. And I haven't talked to Jeff about this. I'm putting you on the spot on your show. I'm going to call him too today. Can I get you and Jeff Sims in a room together? We all sit there. We air out our grievances.
I say yes.
And we move on, because I think you two guys together can save junior college football. So are you guys willing to put it all aside? Me and Big Matt will be there in the room with y'all.
I'll stand in the middle. I'll mediate.
Yeah, and we'll get it all out, right? And then we'll put a campaign together, and you and Coach Sims can go all over the country. We'll get a big sponsor, and you save junior college football.
But let me ask you, like, there has to be a means to the end. Like, what is it going to give us at the end of the day if these administrators? Not really, because here's the thing, and I know, Carl, this could be a conversation we have forever. Like, if the administration is scared of guys like Sims and I, which they are, no mistake about it. If they're the ones pulling the plug and making the decision to allow that, if they're not allowing it, my guess, I don't see the point. Just because I'm always willing for you, I'll do anything. But I'm just saying, like, I think there's an issue. Like, if there's no ends in sight, like we can actually attain, I don't know if it's worth it. Just like, that's why no one will hire me. Like, they're scared of shit. And like, look at the jobs that are coming open, Carl. Like, you should see the JUCO jobs that come open, and people hit me up, and I'm like, as soon as I talk to an administrator that finds out who I am, they're like, oh shit. And I'm like, I have no criminal record, Carl. I've won football games and sent more players to college than any JUCO coach in the country for 20 years. And yet now Netflix came out and I can't coach no more, apparently.
I think that in order for us to have that conversation, that's something that comes from us solving y'all issue with each other first. And then with everybody in the room, those ideas and those solutions can be brought to the table and come to light. It's just something to put on your mind. You don't have to answer right now.
No, I hear you. No, I appreciate it.
We'll talk about it offline.
No doubt.
I think you both are reasonable men, and I think enough time has passed that, you guys bring a tremendous amount of value. And I know you both deeply care about what's happened with junior college football, and I think that we still need that option for kids.
I think we should do it.
Yeah, let's talk. We'll talk off camera, and I appreciate you coming on, man. Always. We'll have to get you back on, and I got to ask you about Dion and your interview with him and Matt's interview, and talk about what you think about Shador and the real future of them. And do you think Dion will be there after next year? I want to ask you all those things. So either bring me on your show, or I'll come on you, or come back here before the season starts.
All right, let's do it, brother.
All right, Carl, appreciate you.
That's us too, JB. We gotta talk. It's a bad man right there.
Go ahead, man. I'll holler at you, brother.
All right, brother.